I'm very happy to have Dean Mokhles here on Razmafzar TV, and welcome to our channel, Dean. How are you today?
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be among the team, and it's a very pleasure to talk to you again now.
Okay, Dean, I can see palm trees, behind you. Just tell our viewers where you are, because you are in a very beautiful place. Name the city, please.
It's Southern California, palm trees are everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
So it's the signature of Southern California, and the weather also is a signature of Southern California. It's always like it never gets cold, it never gets hot. At least to me, with respect to hot, because I am like used to more extreme hot weathers usually. So
okay.
Yeah, so Southern California is to me, it's like a heaven.
Okay, very good. Okay, Dean, just tell our viewers before we start on talking about Razmafzar and martial arts, please tell our viewers about yourself, who you are, about maybe we start normally with educational background. Tell us about your educational background first, please.
Yeah, so initially I was and I'm still a big fond of programming and computers and stuff since I was a little one. So I got into software engineering school back in my original country, and I graduated with a bachelor degree in software engineering, and I've worked on that field for maybe a year or even a little bit less than a year. Then I got the opportunity to study for a scholarship in a subject called public administration. So I studied for 2 years, and I got a master's degree in public administration. It is called MPA, P as in Paul. So it's very similar to the MBA, the well-known MBA, but it's an MPA. It's public administration rather than business administration.
So it is because, excuse me, because I teach at the Business Administration University, as you know. So it has nothing to do with programming. You did your programming, and then you did another graduate school in public administration. Okay.
Yeah, but for my programming at that time, it was a bachelor degree. It wasn't a master's degree.
Okay.
So that was the master in public administration was the first master degree that I got, and I had the chance to work in that field actually for maybe approximately for 3 years in a unit called the Public Administration and Strategic Planning Unit, and they were also doing public policy and stuff like that. So
could you expand on that? What is that exactly, Dean?
So it's a company worldwide that works with mostly the government sector. So the public, what is the difference between the business administration versus the public administration is the target of your audience, the client that you work with. So the business administration is more catered toward the businesses and the private companies, and the profit is the number one thing that they'll go after. Versus public administration is more service-oriented, so to say. So it focuses on the governments, on the public sector, on these companies that have in mind to serve more than to get money out of the clients.
Just out of curiosity, did you do also country analysis?
No, not that deep. We were working with some of our clients were like maybe Ministry of Agriculture, for example, investment community, stuff like that. So basically like government-based sectors, like ministries, committees, stuff like that. So we were visiting the client, and after the other logistics things are done, the contracts and all that stuff that we don't deal with, we jump in by building maybe a strategic plan for maybe the next 5 years of what they are doing, addressing some issues, weak points, strengths, stuff like that. Do a lot of studies and analysis on their progress and what is missing. We were also doing a lot of what is called Forgive me for the terminology. It long gone from my head because I'm a completely different person right now. So yeah, there is something called restructuring. So we look like, you know, we look at the structure of the organization and what holds that organization, like if there's too much bureaucracy, something like that. So we restructure the organization, give them like a proposal. We think that you guys should be, you know, having this structure instead of this structure, you know, stuff like that. It was including a lot of studying and building reports and visiting and, you know, eye observing what's going on. So I've worked in that field for maybe 3 years, and then I came to the US in 2013. So when I came, I just migrated to the US. So when I came to the US, I started to look back to my original like specialty, which is programming and computers. So I got the chance to get into a school and graduate with a master's degree in computer science, 2017. And since then, I'm a computer programmer, developer, doing only sitting down and doing code. That's all I do. So, yeah. So since 2017, I've worked, well, until today, my work is in the universities and stuff like that. So I've worked at the University of California. So, and actually in different departments. So my work is basically, you know, simply building applications. And also I've worked with the NASA Infrared Archive Group within the same technology institute. So it's a small group that takes care of NASA-based projects. So we build applications for NASA. So when I say NASA, NASA is like an organization. It doesn't like host like tons of developers and scientific people. They have their own, but they focus on the academic institutions like universities and stuff like that. So whichever university that provide an astronomy and physics departments, then this is a potential client for them because it's going to be having the astronomy related or specialized people versus also plus I'm sorry, the computer science people. So that's the asset that they were looking for. So the work is for a guy like me, it's very complicated because it's a lot of science driven factors and stuff. So I you know, when I was first introduced to that type of job, I was like struck by, oh, what does that mean? What's that? What do you want? Why do you want it to look like this? And, you know, all kind of like, you know, scientific related questions. So we have scientific specialized people that with PhDs in astronomy and physics and stuff like that, to talk to the client and make sure that, you know, the science part or the business logic of what this is how we call it is okay and perfect. And also they translate the requirements to me as a developer for me to know what needs to be done. So yeah, and I really enjoy that field and working in that field.
Can you just tell us, I mean, if you can, I don't know if, I mean, if you can, if you could, it's like that you program for something which is going to land on a planet Mars, something like that, right? For us layman.
That would be a big dream for me. Well, it's not like that. So I'm working in something called the Infrared Archive. So the Infrared Archive is specialized in all the missions for NASA that runs under the infrared technology. So mostly telescopes that, you know, take pictures to the sky using the infrared technologies, because there's so many ways to look at the sky. So so there you see images that is published by NASA that they say they tell you this is not a naked eye view of the things, because if you look at it with naked eye you won't see anything, but then they show you like a very colorful image. They say no, this is like infrared, X-rays, stuff like that. So each band of those, each technology will provide you with a different, you know, perspective to look at the things. So my focus or main work in that department was infrared related technology. So one of the cool projects that I worked on called Sophia. Sophia is an airplane, it's just a regular airplane. And they mounted a telescope inside that airplane and let it go and fly on the highest level in the sky that an airplane can fly in.
It's like a passenger plane?
It's just a regular passenger plane. But they strip all the seats, all the things that make it heavy. So the airplane is very light. It can fly like at the top levels of any airplane. No airplane actually can fly into that height. So that will minimize, because the air is polluted with a lot of like particles and dust and stuff like that. So if you mount a telescope on the ground, you will get a lot of like noise and background due to these little particles. So by flying on the highest level of the atmosphere, you get rid of all of these items, little items like that can pollute your images. So you'll get more clear image. But it's still different than a telescope outside of the Earth. So see, the idea is let's get all kind of perspective. Let's get a photo from the ground. Let's get a photo from a top of a mountain. Let's get it on an airplane. Let's get it outside of the Earth, and let's compare and see what's going on. So they yeah. Now back to the missions that lands on the Mars. NASA has a laboratory that they work with. It's called JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So they do the mechanical things. They program that, like things that gonna land on Mars and stuff like that. So they are more into like building space shuttles, spaceships, stuff like that. I really don't have any information about what they really doing. So, but with respect to the work that I was doing, is just only software development. So basically, a telescope takes like zillions of pictures to the sky. We need a way for the community, for the scientists, for the people whom are interested in these images to easily navigate them and get a look on a specific object, specific location in the sky that they want. So these applications makes it easy for you to search. Like you type the region that you're looking for. You type, some of the tools allow you to type. For example, you can type the moon. It has a specific number. You type it, and then you get pictures of our moon. You get pictures of Saturn, whatever. So yeah, so it's a nice field to work with. Actually, you get to know a lot about the science related aspects of that business, and it's really fascinating.
Excellent. I mean, you being as a researcher, and I just say it very how can I say it to you, very openly, because as a guy, as you know, I studied both in the United States and Germany and also Spain, but let's stick to Germany and the US, where I spent most of my life. And I'm really happy that you ended up in the US. Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm going to let you, maybe in this video, but because I mean, it's very good. I mean, US has a capacity. I just say it very openly, and I say it also at university here and in Europe, in many European universities. US has a capacity of integration of top-level people no country can even dream of and match. So I say it very openly on this channel, and I know some people might not like it in Europe, but this is a fact because I know both Europe and United States, and I'm really happy that United States has you as a scientist and also as a specialized person. So I need to say it very openly on our channel as well. But well, that being said, thank you very much for sharing this beautiful part. And let us move to the second part of our interview, martial arts. Okay, Dean, when did you start with martial arts, please? Could you tell us, please?
I'm mostly like a lot of, excuse me, mostly like a lot of people who end up in this field or who have loved into martial art, towards the martial arts in general. So I started that like when I was like pretty like little, like, just hitting my teenager years. So I was always fascinated about martial arts and wanted to learn martial arts in proper way. But you know, being a student and all that stuff, it was always like putting hurdles in my way to be able to success in anything or get any, you know, like my dream at that time was to get some black belt in anything, you know. So that was like nearly impossible for me. I was like busy in study, and then I got to the university and, you know, started studying towards a degree and all that stuff. So I wasn't able to pursue like, you know, really deep into it.
Dean, can I
So
just come in, please? There are two types of people in general who start as a kid and are interested. There are fighters and martial artists who happen to study later, and there are people who are into studies who happen to do martial arts later, right? I belong to the first category. Although I'm a professor at the university, I was always into fighting, things like that, who happened to finish his studies, right? You know, so, but, you know, there are two, I know, it's so funny to always talk because you also did lots of studies. There are always, I say, two types of people, but excuse me, I interrupted you. Go ahead, please.
so I was trying to get into like any martial art that I could. So I got into kickboxing for maybe like a month, and then I couldn't continue. And then finally I got into Kyokushin.
Yes.
There was an instructor over there. I wasn't able to continue there more than a week, and then I had to travel for my master degree, the first master degree that I got. So I went actually to Egypt. So I studied in Egypt for 2 years. And then I, you know, when you study for your master, it's different than when you study for your bachelor's.
Yes.
With the master, it's less intense. You have like maybe 2 to 3 days a week of studying, and the other time is like completely open for you. So then I felt like, oh, I have some time to do something. It's probably time for me to pursue my passion, you know. So, so I started looking around. I was like, I know I didn't have the chance to do that before, but I was always, you know, it's within the martial arts, the weapons was the most fascinating thing for me. So I was like really willing to learn how to use a sword, how to use a spear, how, you know, all these things. You know, the movies has a lot of to do with this, you know.
Yes, of course.
So I was like, as a kid, I was like watching these movies like Zorro and, you know, stuff like that, these funny movies. The 13th Warrior. Do you remember that movie?
Yes,
that was
like that Spanish actor,
yeah,
Banderas, Antonio Banderas. Yes, I remember.
It was one of my favorites. So, so I was like watching those and said, oh, I just want to learn how to do that like them, and you know. So I started to look around there, and I've got a school that teaches Aikido. So I spent time with them for maybe like the whole period of time I was training Aikido, maybe like approaching 2 years. I was trying to get to the black belt level, but I couldn't. There was a lot of like logistics prevented me to do so because I was in another country. So they wouldn't, because they wanted people to be registered in that team in that country. So they didn't want to give me the black belt because of that. Yes. So they prevented me from getting into the final test for the black belt. But I wasn't doing the whole preparation period. What I liked about Aikido is the way that I use weapons inside, you know, so it's not like completely weaponless martial art. It has, so the whole mentality behind it is eventually how you gonna be applying these techniques using weapons, basically. So that's the essence of it. But I wasn't really very happy with that type of martial art. As you probably know, there is a lot of like negative talk about it and how whether it's effective or not and all that stuff. I had a lot of incidents with other martial artists and tried to apply some of these techniques and wasn't successfully able to do so. So I remember I got grabbed in we were doing it was like a seminar and BJJ happened. So I took part in that. It was I think it was a Moroccan or Algerian guy came in. He was well known by that time, but I forgot his name. So he came and gave us like a little seminar, and we were like trying things. So I got grabbed by a judo guy, and I was trying to do one of the Aikido technique to him, but his hands were not a regular human being hands. It was like a piece of concrete. I wasn't able to twist his hands. He was like getting that grip on me like that, and his hands are not going anywhere. So, so you know, some of these happened and kind of like shattered my really my appreciation to the Aikido as an art. I know some people might say, no, no, you are not doing things right. You are just still a beginner and all that stuff. But I'm sure I was applying techniques that should work, and it wasn't in many times. But I was happy with the weapons aspect of it. So, and then once I traveled, once I came to the US, you know, you mentioned US. US is a big country. It has people from all over the world.
Yes.
I mean, I met people here from parts of the world that I wouldn't dream of meeting before in any other country. You won't be able to see all of these kind of people.
Only US.
Yeah,
and it is not, please let me just say that, because this wonderful aspect, I'm always pro-US, but this wonderful aspect, one of it, you can only see it in the US. For example, when I was in Canada, when I was in New Zealand and Australia, they're also immigration countries, but they are by far, none of these three as diverse as US is.
Definitely.
Even Canada, go to Canada. You don't need to go so far. Go to Canada. It is definitely not. Australia, New Zealand, even less, right? So I fully agree with you. Only in the US you can see the whole world. There is no doubt.
The thing is not only being a country for like a migration country and all that stuff that accepts immigrants from all over. It's the density. So for example, here in California, it's too dense. So many, like the population is so huge. It's not matchable in Canada or in Australia or any other place.
Yeah.
It's like Southern California, for example. It's a boiled plate of like all kind of cultures that you might think of. It's like crazy. It's like you meet people from all over the world every day. So whatever you want. I mean, what do you think of? Like Mongolian archery? You probably would find somebody who's doing it here, and you can get into that and be as good as you want. So you have opportunities to do everything that you want. So it's pretty diverse. So I came here and I saw a lot of like places that I could go and learn from. So I got into, I was still into the Japanese side of things and mentality. So I was looking around for another school, and I found a school called Suyoryo Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, something like that. I really, it's been a long time. So it's basically a EI Jitsu school, which is, I'm pretty sure you know even better than about these things. So it focuses about how to the moment before you draw the sword until you your first draw of the sword is a response to an attack that's gonna end the attack right away.
Yes.
But it's not Iaido, it's Iai-Jitsu. So it's the traditional way of doing things. I was happy with it. Practicing and training wasn't for that much. It was maybe like 6 months or more. Approaching a year, maybe less, I don't know. So, and then I discovered something called historical European martial arts. I mean, a lot of people has a lot of, aspects or a lot of views about it, but at that time I looked at it and I saw something that I really want to dive into. Now, my time with the Japanese martial arts was always suffering with a crucial point that I was seeing, but I wasn't able to go around in any aspect. So the Suyoryu and even the Aikido, there's no like a full contact aspect of it. So your opponent is always like willing to help you, so to say. So it's not, your opponent is not wrestling, boxing, the other person trying to do the same thing to you. But in Aikido, the other person don't want to do the same thing to you. It's you, you know, applying the technique, and his role is to help you achieving the excellency in that. And this as beautiful as it looks like, it's a little gateway to screw things up, because I mean, he could be too much cooperative, let's say, and too much helpful, and that will destroy your aspect of reality, or how you are going to be able to achieve that technique in a real situation, or in against somebody who's like not willing to allow you to do so. So I saw historical European martial arts, and I was looking at, like, on the internet, of course. I was looking at people, you know, describing what it is and all that stuff, and I was seeing in a full contact match. So I was like, oh, and it's the diverse of the weapons also. They have the long sword, they have the sword and buckler, they have spear, they have pole axe, they have, it's diverse. There's dagger, there's everything. So it's a complete system. It's even have wrestling, horseback fighting, everything. So I got into a school, the school called the Academy of Arms, Los Angeles. It's one of the schools that in Southern California, and I had the pleasure to train there for maybe, by now it's 3 years, so not that much, but I was able to reach the level of a scholar prep, which is the third level